Welcome to English Podcast Corner. In today's C1 IELTS listening practice, we'll explore how reading can help us slow down, think more deeply, and see the world differently. There is something quietly powerful about sitting alone in a cafe with a book. Outside, the city continues at its usual pace. Cars move through crowded streets, people hurry towards offices, and phones vibrate with messages that seem to demand immediate attention. Inside the cafe, however, time appears to move differently. The sound of conversation becomes a gentle background rhythm, the smell of coffee creates a sense of comfort, and the pages of a book offer an escape into another world. For many people, reading in a cafe is simply a pleasant way to spend an afternoon. Yet this ordinary activity can have a surprisingly meaningful influence on the way we think, feel, and understand the world around us. Modern life encourages speed. We are expected to answer messages quickly, complete several tasks at once, and constantly remain informed about what is happening. Although technology has made communication faster and more convenient, it has also made genuine concentration increasingly difficult. Many people now struggle to focus on a single activity for more than a few minutes. While reading an article, they may check their phone. While watching a film, they may reply to messages. Even during conversations, they may be thinking about the next task they need to complete. Reading a book is different. A book asks us to slow down. It requires patience, attention, and imagination. Unlike a short video or social media post, a book does not usually provide immediate excitement. Instead, it gradually develops ideas, characters, and emotions. The reader must participate actively by imagining scenes, interpreting meaning, and connecting different parts of the story. This is particularly important in a world where people are frequently encouraged to form opinions very quickly. A headline can make us angry before we read the full article. A short video can influence our opinion without explaining the complete situation. A single comment online can create conflict between people who have never met each other. Books, however, usually offer greater complexity. This process trains the mind to remain focused for longer periods of time. When people read regularly, they often discover that they are not only becoming better readers, they may also become better listeners, more thoughtful speakers, and more patient decision makers. Reading strengthens the ability to examine an idea before reacting to it. A well-written book rarely presents human beings as completely good or completely bad. Instead, it shows that people are influenced by their childhood, culture, fears, ambitions, and personal experiences. It reminds us that human behavior is often difficult to judge from the outside. Through literature, readers can enter the minds of people whose lives are completely different from their own. A young reader in Asia may experience the life of a character growing up in Europe. Someone living in a modern city may learn about a family in a remote village. A person who has never experienced war may begin to understand the fear, confusion, and loss faced by those living through conflict. Of course, reading about an experience is not the same as living through it. Nevertheless, literature can reduce the emotional distance between people. It allows us to ask an important question. What would the world look like if I were in that person's position? This question is the foundation of empathy. Empathy does not mean agreeing with every decision another person makes. It means making an effort to understand the emotions, pressures, and experiences that may have shaped their choices. Listening to an audiobook while following the written text can also improve comprehension. The learner sees the spelling of each word while hearing its pronunciation. Over time, This strengthens the connection between reading and listening skills. However, learners should choose books carefully. If every page contains too many unknown words, reading may become exhausting. A suitable book should be challenging enough to introduce new language, but understandable enough for the reader to follow the main ideas. It is not necessary to look up every unfamiliar word.
For language learners, reading is particularly valuable. It provides vocabulary in context, demonstrates natural sentence structures, and introduces different styles of expression. Instead of memorizing isolated words, learners see how words are connected to ideas, emotions, and situations. Reading aloud can offer additional benefits. It helps learners practice pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. It also reveals which sentences are difficult to understand. When a sentence feels unnatural to say, it may contain unfamiliar grammar or vocabulary that deserves closer attention.
The key is consistency rather than speed. Reading should not become another competition. There is little value in finishing many books if we remember almost nothing from them. It is often better to read slowly, pause after an important paragraph, and think about how the idea connects with our own life. Taking notes can also make reading more meaningful. A reader might write down a new word, an interesting quotation, or a question raised by the author. These notes create a conversation between the book and the reader. However, some people believe that they do not have enough time to read. They imagine that reading requires several free hours. As a result, they wait for the perfect opportunity, which rarely arrives. In reality, reading for 15 or 20 minutes each day can make a significant difference. A few pages in the morning, during lunch, or before bed can gradually develop into several books over the course of a year. The gentle background noise may even improve concentration for some people. Complete silence can make every small sound noticeable, while moderate noise creates a steady atmosphere that allows the mind to relax. There is also a simple pleasure in making reading feel like a personal ritual. Choosing a comfortable seat, ordering a favorite drink, and opening a book can signal to the brain that it is time to slow down. These small habits can transform reading from an occasional activity into a meaningful part of daily life. A quiet cafe is particularly suitable because it provides both privacy and human connection. A reader may be sitting alone, yet they are still surrounded by life. Cups are placed on tables, doors open and close, and customers come and go. This balance can feel comforting. At home, silence may sometimes become distracting because we are aware of unfinished tasks. We may notice the laundry, the dishes, or the computer waiting on the desk. In a cafe, there is often nothing to do except enjoy the drink and focus on the book. Such stories encourage readers to reconsider their own definition of a successful life. Is success mainly about recognition from other people? Is it about financial security? Is it about creating something valuable? Or is it about developing strong relationships and becoming a person whom others can trust? There is no single answer. However, reading gives us the mental space to consider these questions more deeply. The environment in which we read can also influence the experience. Yet, stories remind us that life does not follow a single timetable. Some people discover their professional direction early in life. Others require years of uncertainty before finding meaningful work. Some people build successful careers, but struggle in their personal relationships. Others earn less money, but experience a strong sense of community and purpose. Literature shows that every life contains both achievement and disappointment. A character may obtain everything they once wanted and still feel empty. Another may lose wealth or social status, but gain freedom, wisdom, or self-respect. It encourages curiosity instead of immediate judgment. This does not mean that harmful behavior should be ignored or accepted. Rather, it means recognizing that understanding a person's situation can help us respond more intelligently. Books can also change our understanding of success. In modern society, success is often measured through visible achievements. People compare salaries, job titles, houses, cars, and social media followers. These comparisons can create the impression that everyone else is progressing more quickly.
In everyday life, this ability can improve relationships. Imagine that a colleague appears unfriendly at work. Our first reaction may be to assume that the person is rude or arrogant. However, there may be explanations that we cannot see. Perhaps they are dealing with a family problem. Perhaps they are experiencing financial stress. Perhaps they are simply shy and uncertain about how to communicate. Reading teaches us to look beyond the most obvious explanation.
Thank you so much for listening to English Podcast Corner. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next English listening practice. See you in the next episode. Reflection questions. Why do you think many people find it difficult to concentrate today? How can reading fiction help people develop empathy? Do you prefer reading in complete silence or in a place with background noise? How has technology changed people's reading habits? What does success mean to you personally? Do you think reading books is more beneficial than watching short educational videos? What type of book has influenced the way you think? How can English learners build a regular reading habit? It gives language to a feeling we could not explain. It helps us understand a person we once judged too quickly. It gives us the courage to make a difficult decision, or the patience to accept a situation we cannot control. And sometimes, it simply reminds us to slow down. So, the next time you enter a cafe, consider leaving your phone in your bag for a while. Choose a comfortable seat near the window, order a drink, and open a book. The world outside will continue moving, but for a few peaceful moments, you may begin to see it differently. Ultimately, the greatest value of reading may be that it creates an inner space that belongs entirely to the reader. In that space, there are no notifications, deadlines, or demands from other people. There is only the reader, the text, and the ideas that develop between them. A book may confirm something we already believe. It may challenge an opinion we have held for years. It may introduce a question that remains in our mind long after we have closed the final page. Not every book will change our life. Some stories will be forgotten. Some arguments will fail to convince us. Some books will simply provide entertainment for a few hours. But occasionally, a book arrives at exactly the right moment. Sometimes the meaning can be guessed from context. In fact, this ability is essential in examinations such as IELTS, where candidates must often understand a passage without knowing every word. The goal is not perfect translation. The goal is effective understanding. When reading, learners can ask several useful questions. What is the main idea of this paragraph? What is the writer's opinion? Why has the writer included this example? Does the tone seem positive, critical, uncertain, or humorous? These questions develop the analytical skills required for advanced reading and listening tasks. More importantly, they help learners move beyond individual words and focus on meaning.